Right. So, Alok sir, hope you can see the slides.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, uh, maybe we'll just wait for 1 more minute and then start. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we can get started now. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining this session today. So, we are going to get started with the part two of IEEE Conference Organizers Education Workshop, IEEE COEW. And I'm Mohit, currently the chair of IEEE Mangalore subsection. So, before we just get started, I want to give a quick uh, information about what did we cover already in part one. So, which was completed on January 28th. And we will be sharing the recordings of this session, that is part one, as well as part two also. So, this is the agenda that you see, what we covered in part one, where Aloknath sir just set up the context of why we do this workshop. Okay, I'm seeing somebody's microphone is on. Can you please mute it? Yeah, thank you. So Aloknath sir just set up the context as to why are we doing this workshop. Just to give you statistics, about 324 people have registered for this particular workshop, and 47.2% of them have said that they are going to organize a conference in near future, and 43.2 people have said that they might be organizing a conference in near future. So the workshop is actually for this purpose itself, just to let everybody know as to what is the process to be followed in organizing IEEE conferences. Conference planning and team building was spoken by Vasudev. I gave the prerequisites to submit an IEEE conference application. Roles and responsibilities were discussed by Chengappa, and Abhishek helped us with answering question and answers, which were asked by the people when they registered. So if you remember, when you registered, we asked you if you have any questions. So we collected all those questions and handed it over to Abhishek, and Abhishek addressed those questions. Plus, he took care of the questions which were asked live. So today's agenda, part two. I welcome Aloknath sir, Chair IEEE Bangalore section, to set the context for this part as well. Over to you, sir.
So thank you very much, Dr. Mohit. And this is an important workshop, the conference organization education workshop. And we had the first sessions. I mean, that day I was in Ahmedabad and today I'm in Kolkata, so on the road, but it's my pleasure to join, even though remotely, and just have this opening remarks. It is very, very important to look into what all goes into a conference. So two parts. One is the pre-thinking. The conference needs to be designed itself. So it's not just an execution. Many a times people just start doing the executions. But why we split these into two parts is the first day's thought process has been, why are we doing this conference? Who are the attendees? Are we going to be taking care of their interests? How do you know what their interests are? How many days should we be doing it? What is the program outline? What registration fees we should be setting it? Have we given enough break for the networking purposes? Who are the committee members? There is a lot of thinking has to go before we even fill the forms, and definitely post form filling. I must say that last 2 weeks, I have reviewed 3 to 4 new conference applications, and I would request you to make bit more comprehensive, bit more informative. In some of the cases, even organizing chair probably is not a member, or if there is an IEEE member, there is no name, number. So these kinds of details would be very, very helpful. Not always all from the same college, but yes, there would be people that would be at the helm from the same college. But can you include people from that region, from that subsections, or from the sections experts? Please look into that. And that was our thought process the previous day. That time I talked about first things first. And today, just wanted to emphasize, it is very self-explanatory, so I don't need to use many words, but till the last mile. When I said that, it means till the last mile has been completed, the program is not over. And to be able to do that, I think people need not just pre-thinking, what we talked is an end-to-end thinking. So today's emphasis is on end-to-end thinking. How is the event happening? The chaining of events. What goes first? Yeah, you call for a papers, what the committee members, and then that leads to submissions, the reviews. Is the reviewer list ready by the time people submit, or are you going to form the committees thereafter? I'm seeing some of the conferences, they're forming much later, and therefore the notification date is slipping. And then if you take that forward, as you can see that here, conference promotion is an important part, because even if you have done it, it is not only just for the presenters, just not for the authors. Many a times we think we can just do it and authors have already registered and they will join, but conference is meant to be, maybe 1/3 could be authors, but 2/3 should be other people who have come to learn from it, who might submit next times. If we do not give enough time for them, then that promotion doesn't happen, they won't come. And it is no more an online thing, so we are getting into physical. Therefore, I would encourage for a full conference, at least 30 days, if not 45 days. Sometimes that's not possible, but 30 days before that, the full program should be kind of closed and promoted, so that you get certain other people, and also with that, the registration money comes. So it's beneficial knowledge-wise and financially to be able to take care. I think we are significantly missing that part of the story. Therefore, I want to emphasize it again, given that it's a physical conditions. And if you have to do the hybrid, then you can take care of 2 different registration fees if that suits you. So therefore, taking that through, and then publications, why people come to IEEE conference is this IEEE Explore and the proceedings. And when we are late in this notifications, and then the quality, final submission quality is also degrading. And then that's what people see. IEEE people will see that, and that's eventually on the record. Therefore, I think it is of utmost importance to conceptualize any conference at least 9 months, if not 12 months. Definitely 9 months are absolutely necessary. Post-March, I'm not planning to, exceptions are always there, but I'm not planning to approve post-March for 2023, because that's 9 months. So if you are planning to hold something this year, please work on March and be able to submit before that. So my whole idea here was this end-to-end thinking and chaining of events, one leading to the other, and are you prepared for that phase, including the publications? And these would be the topics that will be discussed today. Just the last point, minute thinking is also very important as you do end-to-end thinking, because not all plan A will work. some committee members will drop, some speakers last minute will be not able to attend. There would be certain crisis, budget surplus could be there, that's positive, but if there is a deficit, so all kinds of things happen, and that's part of life. So we shouldn't be too much worried about it. But when you do minute thinking, then possibly teams are able to handle that well. And so overall, I encourage you to focus today on this execution, the process, the systems, the methods that we follow, and do detailing it out and make sure the chaining of events happen. You are mentally prepared to handle and be able to do very well into this. With that, I encourage you to listen to the full sessions. We have already shared the video recording of the past one, part one, and this one also will be sharing. Please use it, freely for your purpose and for the college, and share with others so that we can have a great set of conferences moving forward in 23 as well as 24, 25 over the years. So with that, thank you very much for joining. And I again congratulate the team that have put together, led by Dr. Mohit and all the speakers. And thanks for joining this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your support. Moving forward, we'll get started with Dr. Kiran K, who will be telling us about what is the process of actually submitting an IEEE conference application. So over to you, Dr. Kiran.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible? Hello?
Very nicely.
Yeah.
You are audible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. So, in this session, we'll discuss about how to apply for IEEE co-sponsorship. The approval of the IEEE co-sponsorship happens in two phases. I think my screen needs to be shared. 1 second. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, I can see your WebEx window.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So, the approval process happens in two phases. First, the approval will be given from IEEE Bangalore section. And once the approval is obtained from IEEE Bangalore section, the headquarters from USA will have to submit another application, and the approval has to come from the headquarters. So first we will see how we can apply, submit the application to the Bangalore section, and then I'll tell you the link for the headquarters. Both the applications are almost similar. You can go to Google and you can type IEEE conference application. In that, this link from IEEE Bangalore section, conference co-sponsorship application. So this is the one that we'll have to fill to get the approval from the Bangalore section. So once you click on that link, this application will be opened. The first time when you open, you will be asked to enter an email ID. When you enter an email ID, a link will be sent to that email ID. You go to the email, click on that link, register yourself, and remember the email ID and the password that you are giving here, because these are the credentials that you will be using later to log into the application and check for the updates until the approval process is completed. So once you create credentials, you will get this screen. There are some terms and conditions given here. You can go through it later. Some of them which are important, I will go through during the course of explaining. So at the bottom here you can see submit application. So if you click on submit application, it will ask you to enter the email ID and the password. Sorry, I opened the application somewhere. I'm sorry for this. So you can see this window, and this is the application that we'll have to fill. It is actually a very simple application. If you have all the information, it is a 10 minutes process. We can just fill the application easily. The first field is name of the organizer. There are some instructions given here also at the top. We will come to these instructions later, some of which I'll be explaining later. So name of the organizer, you can enter the name of the organizer, maybe the institution, society, whichever is organizing the conference, and then the email ID of the organizer where communications can happen. Whatever updates we send will be received at this email ID. The phone number, conference title. When you are giving the conference title, make sure that there is no other conference with the same title. And also sometimes the conference titles may be different, but the acronym may be same. Say something like ICIS. So there may be two conferences which are running by the same name. So you have to check this for yourself and make sure that there are no conflicts in the names of the conference. So this you can check, and you can change the acronym. In the description section, you can give the theme of the conference, the tracks, the areas that are included in the conference. All these details can be entered in the description section, and we expect that the conference be on some specific topic rather than some general, very general topic covering civil engineering, computer science engineering, management, etc., etc. So instead, the conference is expected to be on some specific topic. And then the next one is the type of the co-sponsorship applied for. There are two types of co-sponsorship which IEEE provides. One is the technical co-sponsorship, and the other one is the financial co-sponsorship. Whether it is a technical or a financial co-sponsorship, the organizers have to pay a processing fee of 25K plus 18% GST. This is a non-refundable deposit, and this is for deputing two Exicom members for the conference and two Bangalore section free e-notices and reviewing applications. So this is the fee for processing the application and providing two e-notice and deputing two Exicom members. If you are applying for financial co-sponsorship, you have to additionally pay a deposit of $1,450. That is approximately 1,10,000 rupees, which is a refundable deposit that is to be paid to the Bangalore section. This will be refunded after the payment is made to the headquarters. And after the acceptance, for every paper that is published, $22 has to be paid. If you are opting for technical co-sponsorship, then you will have to pay all the fees. That is the 25K, the processing fee, 1,10,000 rupees refundable deposit. If you are going for FCS, then the 1,10,000 rupees need not be paid. Only the processing fee of 25K has to be paid anyways. But if you are going for financial co-sponsorship, you have to have a sharing scheme of at least 50% to the Bangalore section. So there are other guidelines that we have to follow for technical co-sponsorship. So you can just see this slide. The student branch should be active and long-standing from at least 5 years of existence. and student branch should have done at least 20 activities per year as part of SB and should have at least 100 active IEEE student members and 10 faculty or professional members. The proposed conference should be a flagship conference and should have been conducted at least 3 times before FCS. So the very first time you can't apply for FCS, you should have conducted the conference earlier before applying for FCS. The financial status book of accounts of previous conferences should have been audited and they should be healthy, which has to be shared with the section. The FCS ratio between section and SB will be decided during execution of the MOU.
Kiran,
yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you, but your slide is not visible. Actually, the one that you are showing right now, in which you are reading.
Okay.
The web page was visible earlier when you were filling up the form, but the slide is not visible.
Okay, maybe while sharing at shared window.
I mean, it has stopped. Maybe you will have to stop sharing and start sharing. It has got stuck. We can see your other tabs, but this tab is not visible.
Okay, sir. Again, I'm sharing it again.
Yeah, I'll let you know once we start seeing it.
Yes. Thank you. Sir, are you able to see?
Yeah, I can see the WebEx window. Can you go to that slide which you were?
This slide?
Now it is visible.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, this is available on the website also, and we will be sharing it later if you need. So the TPC chair and organizing chair should have at least 10 quality publications, IEEE indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. The college should be at least 10 years old and the management or principal should support the conference financially. The above terms are, so these are some of the important points. Okay. So this you can go through. And also one more thing, if you are going for financial co-sponsorship, as we told earlier, you have to share at least 50% of the profit with the section. And also the accounts needs to be audited. And another thing that we need to be very careful is if you are going for financial co-sponsorship, then the headquarters doesn't do any scrutiny of the papers that are accepted. But there may be problems later if there is some issue and we'll have to keep answering those issues even after maybe 2 or 3 years. So that is another problem. If we are going for technical co-sponsorship, then the headquarters will scrutinize the question paper, papers even after approval from the section. So therefore, if there are any issues, immediately we'll get to know about the issues and we can resolve the issues. And moreover, financial co-sponsorship will be given maybe to 1 or 2 conferences per year. So it is better that you plan to go for technical co-sponsorship initially. The conference start and end dates. So like Alok sir told, we expect the organizers to plan well in advance regarding the conference. So we expect you to submit the application at least 9 months to 1 year before, so that you'll have enough time for the processing. The approval has to happen from the section, and there will be issues. There will be some questions that are raised by the committee. For all these things we need time, and after that the approval also has to be obtained from headquarters. So for all these things enough time is needed, and therefore you are required to plan the conference at least 9 months to 1 year. So then the website, even before applying for the conference, you should have a completely working website. All the tabs must be working, the information must be completely filled in the website. But for whatsoever reason, you can't mention anything about IEEE in the website until the approval is obtained. Maybe like IEEE record number and leaving blank. If you had conducted a conference last year with IEEE, you can't include IEEE record number and leave it blank. The logos of the section or IEEE logo, or the proceedings will be published in Explore. So no such thing needs to be mentioned in the website until the approval is obtained. So the next one is the venue where the conference happens. And before going in the website, you need to update the information about all the committees. And since it is if it is an international conference, we expect you to include some experts from outside India, so that the committee will be complete. And also we insist that the branch counselor be included in any one of the organizing committees, and you need to take 2 members from the section, execom members from the section, and include them in any of the organizing committees. So all this information has to be mentioned in the website. And then when we come to call for papers in the website, the dates needs to be mentioned clearly, the dates of the conference, date of last date of submission of the papers, acceptance notification. And we suggest that you have at least 1 month of gap between the last date of submission of the papers and acceptance notification. You can't have 15 days or 1 week's time. You need to have a minimum of 30 days of gap between the last date of submission of the papers and acceptance notification. And then registration fee needs to be maintained. We expect the registration fees to be not too high, so that it will be affordable to everybody. And it is better to have separate fee for authors and students, to encourage more number of students to participate in the event. And when you are mentioning about the fee, you have to have separate fees for IEEE members and non-IEEE members. And the fee for IEEE members should be at least 30% less compared to non-IEEE members. So all these things must be taken care of and entered in the website. And then next is the venue. Conference includes. So among this is a checkbox. You can check whichever is applicable to your conference, whether you have tutorials, workshops, hands-on training. So whichever is applicable, you can enter, you can select. And then if the conference is a recurring conference, which has been happening from previous years, you can mention yes, otherwise you can mention no if it is the conference that you are starting this year. Selection criteria of papers, you can mention what is the criteria that you are following to accept the papers for publication. So you can form a committee and you can have some rules based on which the papers can be selected. And review process, once again checkbox whether you are reviewing the full papers or only the abstract or the extended abstract. So you'll have to select one from these 3, and whether it is a single blind or double blind, you'll have to select one from these 2. So how is the review process happening, that you can check by clicking these checkboxes. You can mention acceptance target in percentage. So if you are expecting, say, some 500 papers, what is the percentage of papers that you are going to accept? So 10%, 20%. So in percentage, you'll have to mention here. Number of reviewers on each paper. We insist that you have at least 3 reviewers, because if there is a tie, if one of them accepts the paper and the other one rejects, depending upon the third reviewer, we can make a decision as to whether to accept the paper or not. So therefore we insist that you get the papers reviewed at least by 3 reviewers. Whether PhD students will be involved in the review process or not, you can tell yes or no. Conflict management. So if there are papers from the members of the committee of the organization, etc., etc., so you'll have to mention what measures you are taking to handle those conflicts. And will the papers having less than 30% be accepted? Once again, a yes or no question, you can mention yes or no. Does the host institution has an IEEE student branch? Yes, the host institution has to have a student branch, and we expect at least the student branch as 30 student members at least, and few professional members. So if the number of student members is less than 30, sometimes we suggest the organization to increase the number of student members to at least 30. We give some time. So for all these reasons, we expect that the conference application be submitted well in advance. Then if yes, the host institution IEEE student branch has agreed to technically or financially co-sponsor. Depending upon whether you are applying for technical or financial co-sponsorship, you can tell yes. And if it is supporting both for technical and financial, both, or whichever is applicable for you. Attachments in support of the proposal. So what are the attachments that we expect is the first thing is we want at least one of the organizing member to attend the conference organizing workshop which we are conducting now, and you can upload those certificates here. Then the consent letter that you have obtained from the execom members, because we require 2 execom members to be included in any of the organizing committees. You can send mails, take consent from the members, and those consent letters you can upload. And letter of support from the institution, the host institution, whether it is if you are applying for technical co-sponsorship, then the host institution has to give the financial support. So the support in this regard, mentioning that they support conducting this conference. So such documents can be attached in this attachment section. And then the committee details. Okay, the organizing committee, the general chairs, technical program chairs, publication chair, finance chair. So these details can be entered here. How many of the organizing committee members have completed conference organizing workshop or online courses? If you are not able to attend this workshop, then there are some online courses. You can attend those online courses, and you can upload those certificates also. So how many of these certificates you can mention here, and you can upload that. Do you have an execom, IEEE execom member in your technical program chair or publication chair? So as we told, we expect you to have 2 members at least. So you can mention if you have contacted them and if they have given their consent. If you have any other technical sponsors, you can mention the details about them. Who are the sponsors and how are they involved in conducting this conference in this section. And the last part is the financial sponsorship. So here, if you are going for technical co-sponsorship, then you will have to tell the host institution, name of the host institution that is providing 100% financial sponsorship. If you are going for financial co-sponsorship, then you'll have to tell the ratio, in what ratio you are sharing the profit with the section. So for the section, how much percentage, and for the organization, how much percentage. So maybe 50-50 or something like that. So these are the fields that we'll have to fill in the application. And once you click on the send button, the application will come to the software Jira platform, which is a service maintenance platform. So there is a committee set up for scrutinizing the applications. The committee goes through the applications, and if there are any additional information needed, the committee replies in the application. You can log into the application. The mail will be sent to the email ID that you have given. But if you don't find the mail for whatsoever reason, the mail has got missed, then you can log into the application periodically and check if you have got some responses from us. You can give clarifications to that. So once the committee approves the application, it next goes to the chair of Bangalore section. So the chair will review the application and the chair will give approval. Once this is done, you will have to apply to the headquarters. So once again, as I told, in the Google, if you search the IEEE.org, whatever this IEEE conference application is there, if you click there, you will come to this window, and here you can see start a new application. So if you click on start, have you already obtained the sponsorship for the conference? So if you tell yes, there are 7 tabs. The information is almost similar to the application that we saw now, so I'm not going to take into the details of these tabs. So the submitter information, about the event, about the location, conference sponsors, technical program, conference contacts, comments. So on the same lines, you can fill the application. So this goes to the headquarters, and the headquarters will once again contact the chair of the section. uh, if they have any clarifications, they will clarify, and finally you will get the approval, and you can sign the MOU for conducting the conference. So some suggestions when you are filling the applications, which we have seen, because I am involved in scrutinizing the applications since last year. So some of the things what we found is, when you are creating the website, sometimes you would have taken the template from the previous year or from some others. So there will be some information which belongs to the previous year. Suppose you are conducting a conference this year and you have taken the template from 22. Somewhere there will be mention about 22, the conference year as 22, dates as 22, acceptance notification date. So these things you can check. And the grammatical mistakes, sometimes there will be grammatical mistakes, commas misplaced somewhere, IEEE logos from the previous template which you have not removed. So all these things you can take care. And another major thing is, technically speaking, the applications for the section and the headquarters can be applied at the same time. But we suggest that you first submit the application to the section, wait for some time, and then submit the application to the headquarters, MCE, because what happens is, as soon as you submit an application to MCE, they will send a mail to the chair, and the approval from the section wouldn't have happened. Therefore, the chair wouldn't have any information about that conference. So as time goes, that mail that comes to the mail of the chair, and that mail gets lost. And due to this also, sometimes there may be delay, because until that mail is tracked or they resend the mail for the second time or the third time, we will not know that a particular organization has applied for a conference. So it is always better that you wait for the committee is meeting once at least every week, and we process the applications. So at least by 7 to 10 days of your application, you should get some response from us. So based on that, you will know when your application might get approved. So based on this, if you can plan and you apply to the headquarters, the processing will become smooth, and the entire process will get over in considerable less amount of time. Otherwise, it may take more time. So that's it from my side. This is the process for submitting application for co-sponsorship to the section and headquarters.
Thank you, Dr. Kiran.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I request the participants that if they have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and Dr. Kiran will also reply, and anybody else also who knows here the answers, we will try to reply. Since we are running a bit late, I would like to move on to the next topic that we have today. Thank you once again, Dr. Kiran, and we'll look for questions in the chat box if there are any questions. Yeah. So moving forward, the next session is by Dr. S.V. Satyanarayan from JNNC Shimoga. He's going to talk about conference promotions and some thoughts on applying for sponsorships. So Dr. Satyanarayan, over to you. I hope you can hear us.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Whether I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Yeah. Whether my screen is visible?
Not yet, but as soon as it will come through, I will let you know. It's starting to share the content. Yes, we can see your second slide now. Yeah. The first slide. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll be sharing some experiences what I have in conducting the workshop, conducting the conference. So I have been given the topic of conference promotion and the funding opportunities, or how to apply for funding. Just to have a preamble about the topic, I have an experience of organizing about 8 conferences, out of which 2 are the IEEE conferences. I had the opportunity. Recently, I had organized IEEE Discover, which is the flagship event of IEEE Mangalore subsection. While we do that, while we have organized that conference, we had received about 4 funding from the various agencies. In that experience, in that knowledge, I have some tips while you should take care while applying for funding. Just before that, with respect to conference promotion, there are not much things before you have before you plan for organizing any conference. You should plan for a professional conference website. I strongly feel that our Discover IEEE conference website is very professional, where all the tabs are very self-explanatory, and in a very professional way that particular conference website has been managed. So you should design a professional conference website which should give all the informations. Before you apply, as the previous speaker told, before you apply for IEEE for co-sponsoring your conference, you should have a professional conference website. Even for funding, the very first thing they ask is whether you have your website. Whenever you say yes, whenever anybody click on that particular link, you should all the tabs should be completely informative. There should never be any confusion. That is what I meant, as it is a professional conference website which gives all the information about your conference. Nowadays, having a hard copy of the brochure, all those days are over. We will not be designing any brochure, flyers in print media. We will be always going for a soft forum. In that time, nobody will be having time to browse through your brochure. So it's better is to share your conference website link in your friends group. That is sufficient. That is the very first way how you can promote your conference. And one more thing is, it's better always associate with any professional society chapters like IEEE ComSoc, IEEE Computer Society, IEEE Sensors chapter, IEEE Information Theory chapter, Power and Energy Society. Like that, if you associate yourself with any professional societies, definitely you will have a global visibility about your conference. Later, you should have an industry collaboration. It's always better. When you have an industry collaboration, you will be having more of industry participants from industry. There would be papers from industry, so that the real theme of the conference, which is normally in our conference website, we'll be having a preamble in a tagline as it is a platform for exchange of technology, both with industry and academia. So if you do not have an industry collaboration, the real theme of the conference would never be satisfied. That is why it's better always to collaborate yourself with any industry with your contacts. And it's obvious that if you are organizing an IEEE conference, you'll be having the facility of IEEE notice. You can send the request for the sending e-notice periodically, both with your subsection as well as with our Bangalore section. So they'll be sending the e-notices, and you can obviously you can send the information through WhatsApp, any social media, emails, reminder emails. You should have a very, very strong publicity team, very committed, very passionate publicity team, which will be continuously working. See, if your success of the conference depends primarily on your publicity committee, how you are globally visible about your conference. So just to share, during our Discover, our publicity team were very strong. They were really sending reminder emails 15 days once, and all the updates were shared properly. So through your WhatsApp, and one more thing, when you are sending the WhatsApp, your brochure or the flyer size should be very minimal. So you should never allow the people to download. There will not be anybody nowadays. Nobody will having time to download and see. That is the very important thing. You should have a very short message, have the website link, so that they will click the link and they will see whichever, if they are really interested. If you have a provision of downloading some brochures, they will not be even downloading it. They will not be, nowadays the people do not have time to waste their time to download, see. Really interested people may do that, but it's always better to have a very short crisp WhatsApp message so that you will reach more people. And research scholar contacts, that is very important. You should, in your circle, you should have you should develop the contact of research scholars. Try to reach them and convince the benefit of attending the conferences. Nowadays, people will be going back. Really, they'll not be very much interested to attend the conferences. The days are really changing now. But we should motivate the people to attend the conference, and you should tell the benefits. This work should go mouth to mouth. Personal calls, having contacts in your time. If you are an organizing chair, you have to meet people personally, tell about your conference. These things should happen in a very passionate way. Then only the conference promotion can happen with the real sense. So these are some of the known tips which, with my experience, I am sharing with you. Now we shall move to the conference funding opportunities. I'll be spending some time here. The very first, I'll be concentrating on funding from government agencies. The first one which I'm going to concentrate is, there are about 5 I'm dealing today, 5 different organizations. One is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR. They fund international conferences up to a tune of about rupees 50,000 rupees minimum they would fund. If you are provided, your funding application is complete in all sense, in the sense, when you open the funding application in CSIR, you will be having 2 major parts there. One is what is the significance of the conference? What is the benefit to the society? All those 2 or 3 major things which they are asking. And after the conference, what is the conference outcome? What is the benefit? What are the measurable outcomes? All those things, if you draft the application in a very professional way, you are sure to get the conference funding. So this scheme provides the partial support towards expenses, and when you are applying, you should know which part they are funding, which they are not funding. Here you can just see travel support, registration fee waivers, promotion in the sense website, brochure, proceedings, secretarial assistance, local hospitality, venue charges. These are the headings only which they are going to sponsor. They would see, you can very clearly see there, I have made it highlighted. Capital expenses of any nature, such as purchase of laptops, computers, fees, honoraria to speakers, are really not covered under this scheme. But when you are giving the budget, see, whenever we are applying for the funding, you should have 2 important documents in your funding application. This is a offline, that is, your application should go in a print media. You should post the application after getting printed. 2 documents you should send. One is the conference application in the particular format provided by the agency. Another one is a supporting document where you give details of your conference. Details of your conference may be conference organizing committee, your past experience of organizing conference, complete budget in the sense from where you are expecting the funding, what is your income, and what is your expenditure. Detailed expenditure. Under that detailed expenditure, you can have everything, but you should focus on the part which they are really going to fund, like which they are not funding. Honoraria means in your complete budgeting you should have all those things, but you should include those headings: secretarial assistance, local hospitality, venue charges, all those split ups. You should neatly have it and give your complete expenditure details, so that whenever they are scrutinizing the application, they should have the complete details about your conference. So about your organization, about your society to which you are belonging. Suppose you are a private organization, what are the organization details, your achievements, everything you can make it as a document and you can post it along with that. You need not only concentrate on their formats. Along with that, supporting documents, how much you provide, that much is better, and you'll be having the greater probability of getting the your conference funded. And this is the website address. When you can just go to the Google and you can type CSIR conference funding, you'll be going to this particular website. There actually your Word document itself are there. You have to fill it and you have to send it. And it's very important that you should apply 2 months prior to the conference. Deadlines you should meet. Just before the conference, if you apply, they will not fund. Exactly 2 months prior to the conference, or not too much early. You should never apply 4 months earlier. That particular conditions are there that you have to abide with. So next organization which funds the conference is Defense Research Development Organization, DRDO. They demand 3 months prior to the conference. Here also, they will be having a designated format. DRDO normally funds the conference for the TADA expenses of the scientists. Scientists in the sense maybe speakers, maybe session chairs. They normally fund TADA expenses and some miscellaneous expenses. Once again, they will fund maximum up to 50,000 rupees. Here, once again, once you are a supporting document, if you prepare, that is the common document which you can send along with all the formats. So if once you prepare a common document about your conference, which contains conference theme, conference committee, conference budgeting details, your past experiences in organizing the conference, what is the theme of the conference, what is the relevance of the conference in the present day context, what is the benefit of attending this conference to the researchers, industry people, academia, what is the measurable outcomes. Like that, if you prepare a common document, that can be attached with any of the funding applications. Don't only focus on their formats. Along with that, you should send this also. So it will add the weightage to your funding application. So this is you have to apply 3 months prior to the conference. Next one is Departments of Science and Technology, Science and Engineering Research Board, SERB. You have to apply 2 months prior to the conference. This is the online application. This is the online application. Here you have to file the application online, and all that particular SERB online site is self-explanatory, and it is open for throughout 12 months of the year. It is open, you can apply at any time. If you apply 2 to 3 months prior, there is more chance of getting the funding prior to your conference. They would sanction the money. But if you apply exactly 2 months before, if their review meeting has not happened prior to your conference, if your conference funding is sanctioned on the day of the conference, they may opt for reimbursement. So this is my personal experience. During Discover, I got the funding prior to the conference only from DRDO. CSIR, DST and ASCT, all they went for reimbursement of the fund. Reimbursement of the fund after submitting your utilization certificate. So it's always better to apply for funding well in advance, 2 to 3 months earlier. You'll be having the better chance of getting the funding. Next one is AICTE. Preference shall be always given to the topics of interdisciplinary nature, emerging and trust areas. And here, please note this point, you should apply 8 months prior to the conference. You should apply 8 months prior to the conference, and you should get no due certificate from the government if you are applying for international conference. It is a separate procedure for security reasons. They ask us to submit the a no objection certificate from the government related to security related reasons. Suppose if you are inviting some international speaker, you should give the details of the international speaker along with the application and his travel plans. Everything should be attached while you are applying for IEEE funding. And they will fund up to maximum of 4 lakhs. In the sense, you should spend 12 lakhs, then 4 lakhs will be sanctioned to you. That is 1/3 of your constituent expenditure would be sanctioned to you. So if you spend less, 1/3 of your expenses will be sanctioned. So last Discover, we had spent about 6.5 lakhs. So we have been, we have applied for about 2.1 lakhs of the expenses for funding. They will reimburse after scrutinizing your utilization certificate. To AICTE, you have to completely send all your receipts also. Receipts, copies of the receipts certified by your head of the institution. All those things with complete statement of expenditure with their format, utilization certificate, everything you should send. After scrutinizing that, if you satisfy all their criteria, they are having, there's some additional criteria also. The details are given in the website. The highlights are SC/ST participants should never be charged with the registration fees. Only 10% of the host institution should participate. 25% of the participants from the other states. All those conditions are there. If you have to fulfill those conditions. Next is ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. They will also fund. Had not applied, but recently I got to know that even they would fund. You should apply 3 months prior to the conference. Website is given here. So these are all the 5 different funding agencies which they supports the organization's conference. All the 6 or 7 conferences which we had organized at JNNC were funded by CSIR, DRDO, AICTE, and one more is, suppose if you are going for any conference which is related to the mathematics. Suppose if you are going to organize the premier conference and workshop of Cryptology Research Society of India, CRSI, National Workshop on Cryptology, NWC, we had organized about 3 times at our institution. That you would be majorly sponsored by National Board of Higher Mathematics, NBHM of Department of Atomic Energy, Mumbai. They will sponsor up to 4 lakhs if you are organizing any conference related to mathematics. So mathematics related in the sense information security, cryptography related conferences. Any conference of statistics related like that. If you organize any such conferences, NBHM is also going to fund. So these are all the government agencies which are going to fund the conferences. I think that's all from my side. If you are having any specific questions, I am very happy to answer. It's over to Mohit.
Great. Thank you, Satyanarayan sir. That was fantastic. And yeah, like Satyanarayan sir said, for our past edition of Discover in 2022, it was hosted by JNNC Shimoga, and Satyanarayan sir managed to get funding from 4 of these organizations. I mean, he discussed 6, but 4 of them actually funded the conference. So please feel free to reach out to him. And please feel free to put your questions in the chat box if you have any. Satyanarayan sir will be here. He will be also able to answer those questions. We move on into our agenda further. The next session, we have Dr. Ramakrishnan Raman. He'll be talking about what is the process for getting the papers reviewed, how many papers to select, on what basis those papers should be selected, and how should we prepare for the technical program of the conference. So yeah, Ramakrishnan sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, Audible?
Okay. Do you have the sharing rights, or should I just?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay.
I'll share my desktop. Let me know. See it.
Yeah, I'll let you know once I start seeing it. Yes, conference executive. We can see the title slide. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mohan. Yeah. So we'll be talking about the subsequent steps on how do we I mean, once you have all the papers submitted into your conference tool, so let's say it is CMT, I'll be showing examples from the CMT, Microsoft CMT tool, but there may be equivalent in other tools too. So how do you do about the paper reviews, paper selection, and the technical program plan? Right? So we'll be covering those aspects. So the key part for running a good review process are obviously the reviewers. Okay, so if your conference is a multi-track conference or a single-track conference, or you're having multiple focals to handle the review process, generally referring to them as track chairs. So it is very critical that they solicit the reviewers, and the reviewers should be well-known subject matter experts, from the various societies and chapters through. Again, it not be restricted to only IEEE members. It can also be industry experts, global experts, and all of them through, right? And you need to get them ahead into your review system, which means, like, let's say we're using CMT. Before the review process starts or before the deadline for the paper submission ends, you need to ensure that all those reviewers are into your configuration. I mean, conference management system tool, the CMT tool, in this case. So, I'll talk about some of the steps there through. And while you're sourcing reviewers, it's very critical to ensure that they are kind of signing up for their availability for the period of review, right? So let's say, for example, you're having a paper submission deadline as end of February, and you want to announce the shortlisted papers by end of April or mid-April or something like that. Then when you are soliciting reviewers, please do check and ensure their availability for that entire review period, meaning from March and till April through, right? So this is crucial because there may be scenarios where some of the papers that you assign to the reviewers may decline it or say that they are held up in something else through. So it is very critical to ensure that their availability is first brought to the notice through. And we need to ensure that the high quality reviews are ensured for all the papers submitted through, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about what the expectations are there from the reviewers through. So here's an example of how do you add reviewers to respective tracks. This is from the CMT tool. Again, there may be equivalent processes and other tools, but here in this CMT, you will need to go to the users conference user and click on add a new user. And once you have that, you will have an option to provide the email ID. So most of these tools would require the user or the reviewer to be registered prior in the tool, right? That would be a simpler process, though they will offer other processes where you can register based on invitation. If you have the reviewer already registered in the tool, then that would kind of ease your process to add the reviewers through. So you could just enter the email ID that the reviewer has user registration, and add on the reviewer for a specific track through. And once you have papers, you would need to then associate the corresponding reviewer. So since once you have added, you would be able to go and assign a paper for a specific reviewer through. Right. So in this case, you can see how that's done in CMT tool. You have to just click on specific actions to be done against a submission, and then click on the assignments through, edit assignments, and then allocate the paper for the reviewer through. So once you allocate it, you need to actually send notifications to the reviewers through. So conference tools like CMT, they would allow you to send these kind of notifications on a bulk side. Like you can send notifications to reviewers for assignments for across all the papers or a subset of papers and so on through. But then one typical challenge you'll face is most of these notifications that are sent from the tools, they might end up in the spam folders of the reviewers inbox system, right? So it is probably pretty, advised to ensure that you have some other means of direct email communication or WhatsApp communication or any other means of or phone call, whatever it may be, to actually communicate to the reviewers and then tell your reviewers that, hey, papers are assigned, because all of these activities would be subjected to tight deadlines through, right? So you need to ensure that the reviewers are able to log into the tool and are able to access the papers allotted to them, are able to download the papers, and then are also able to see the reviewer form. Okay, so typically, as part of the review process, we need to ensure that each paper has at least 3 reviews completed for it, right? That is 3 different reviewers would have submitted review comments for the paper through. So as part of your reviewer assignment process, it is recommended that you assign for each paper at least 5 reviewers, so that even if 1 or 2 miss, you also have 3 reviewers. Otherwise, in the last moment, that will be like, hey, there are these set of papers that don't have the minimum required 3 reviewers, and you will then have to, at the last moment, hunt for additional reviewers and so on through, right? And that may again compromise on the quality of the reviews. So it is critical that upfront you get in all the reviewers into your tool, your content management tool, and then moment you allocate the reviews, you send notifications or also call them up or email them directly, so that the reviewers are able to you can confirm the reviewers are indeed able to log into the CMT tool and download and access those papers and the review forms through. Right? And typically, you may see some reviewers who will just go, postpone till the deadline of the review comment submission. So it's better that these are sorted out much earlier, and the reviewers are able to download the paper, then they can review it as per their convenience. So in case your conference tool allows some sample notification template, then this is a standard template you can use, where you essentially thank them for being the part of the review committee. Please note that your reviewers may be reviewing papers for different conferences through. So please do ensure that the reviewer is in the notification, there's clear mention of the conference or a specific track in the conference. And you request your reviewer to log into the tool and confirm that they're able to download the papers. You give the URL on which they can log into the tool, and always also give the deadline through. Right now, this deadline typically, obviously needs to be much ahead of the deadline on which you will have to send across accepted notifications. Right. So typically 2 weeks, 3 weeks earlier would be ideal, because that will give you enough time to do the selection process, as well as ensuring that last minute declines of reviews by reviewers you can also find alternate reviewers and assign them and work on that through. Right? So this is a sample notification content. Ensure that in notification you send has all of these aspects: the conference name, the date by which the review needs to be completed, and the URL to access and download the papers and submit the review form through. Typically, the tools will let you to configure the review forms. So here, what you're seeing is how to do that in CMT. So typically, when you configure a review form, the review form would have multiple fields, right? And then you'll need to set adequate permissions on the visibility attributes to the field. What does visibility attribute mean? What it means is, let's say I've set a field called review comments, right? Now, the review comments that needs to be visible to the authors after the notification. That needs to be probably visible to the track chair. That needs to be visible to the other peer reviewers. I mean, you can take a call on that, right? I'm just giving you some options. So in that case, you'll need to then set that, hey, this is the visibility, right, for this question. Similarly, some questions you can say that should not be visible to the author. For example, you can have a option for a reviewer to enter what's called a confidential remarks for the TPC. Essentially means that when you send the notification, those remarks will not be sent to the authors. So those kind of remarks, and it may be visible to other peer reviewers of the same paper, but not be visible to the author. Then you can also have a field which says that, hey, there is this field where you want to let the reviewer to give confidential remarks only to the track chair, right? So all of these options are there in various tools. So in CMT, you would see something like this, which says this is the field, whether it's required or not, meaning whether the reviewer is mandated to fill up these, and whether it's visible to authors during author feedback. Author feedback is especially if you have revision cycle before acceptance through, but typically most conferences don't have that. Whether it's visible to other reviewers and meta reviewers and so on. Right? So this is a typical review form. So we are designing a review form, ensure that you have both the information that you need to capture as well as the visibility of the specific information. Right? So here is a typical review form. You would have a field where the reviewer can enter the review comments. Then the overall rating for the paper. This is the typical one that is used all the way from strong reject to strong accept. And then the confidence of the reviewer in this topic that the paper deals with, ranging from low to expert. Confidential remarks for the technical program committee, which is visible to other reviewers. You can see here, and confidential remarks for the track chart through. And then this is kind of concurrence that you get from the reviewers, that they don't have any conflict of interest. Right? So what does conflict of interest means? Let's say the reviewer knows one of the authors of the paper. Right? So this especially matters when you are going for a single vendor review, meaning that the author's information are included in the paper that is submitted for review. So in that case, you would need to ensure that the author indicates, the reviewer indicates that he does not have any conflict of interest. Either he does not have a favorable or an unfavorable disposition towards the authors a priori. Right? So this just asks for acceptance or agreement that the reviewer is in fact agreeing that he does not have any conflict of interest in the submission. So this is on the review form. So I'll quickly go through some of the guidelines for the reviewers, and then we'll look at what the reviews are through. So as I said earlier, peer reviews are very crucial to to ensure the quality of the paper selected. Right? Now, if your reviews are pretty shallow and low quality papers are selected, then when you're submitting it to IEEE Explore, there is a possibility that the papers are rejected through. Right? And they might also look at the quality of the reviews to see if actually due diligence has been adopted before accepting or rejecting a paper through. Right? So for reviewers, they need to, you can probably share some of these guidelines with the reviewers, or if needed, you can have also a session for the reviewers where you stress the need for quality reviews. Right? So when a reviewer is writing a review paper, he should have read through the paper thoroughly, and then state in his own words what the paper is contributing, how original the topic is, how does it compare with existing literature, or does the paper include good, convincing results? How does it compare? Does it kind of, enhance the state of art? Has some unique contributions. So all of these kind of things is what the reviewer needs to critically analyze and ensure that his comments address all of that. Typically, shallow comments will land you in problems. Like for instance, if you just have one statement from the as per the comment saying that, hey, yeah, this paper is good or this paper is not good or something like that. Right? It would, it will not be an adequate rationale for you to accept or reject a paper. So please do ensure that when a reviewer submits his review comments, you will get a notification through the tool, where it's CCHR or CMT, and then request as a track chair or as a conference chair, request you to go to the reviews and see that the review is of good quality through. Right? And also there is an expectation for the paper submitters. Right? The authors have put in quite some effort to submit a paper, so we need to get back to the author saying this is, yes, we have actually looked at your paper in good detail, a subject matter expert has reviewed a paper, and these are the comments. These are the things that are positive of the paper. These are the things which are areas for improvement. So all of this it needs to have. And typically for conferences, we don't consider literature review only papers, meaning if there's a paper that's just a summary of existing literature, right? Typically that's not considered. You need to have some original contribution to that. There are specific journals that focus on literature reviews. So the author, you can actually mention that to the authors to target for those. But typically for conference papers, some minimal original contribution is always an expectation through. So some more guidelines on the review comments. So please ensure that the reviewers don't reveal themselves in the review comments through, right? It should not be, I mean, the review comments would be sent across to the authors. So by looking at the review comments, the author should not be able to say that, hey, this is a reviewer who reviewed this, right? So ensure that the identity is not similarly, mostly the track chairs, right, are typically expected of the track chairs to take the final disposition to accept or reject a paper, right? So please to ensure that the reviewers do not indicate in the review comments that this paper has to be accepted or rejected. They can say a lot of positive points and then or negative points about the paper, and then indicate that probably in the confidential remarks or in the ratings, right? We saw like strong, accept, and so on. You might also choose to not to give visibility to the authors in terms of its strong accept or reject through, because there may be cases where we'll have to take a call. Like for example, two reviewers would have given like a weak accept, and one reviewer would have given a weak reject. Right? There may be a lot of these border cases on where, as a tracker, you may have to go to the review comments and do that. And then if you're sharing some of these ratings to the authors, they may come back like, hey, I have 2 versus 1, 2 weak accept, 1 weak reject. What is this? Maybe the weak accept things would have had a shallow reviews when you were reviewing that, and you would more rely on a more subject matter expert who would have given a reject through, right? So for you to be flexible on those calls, typically you can just share the review comments to the authors, and then the final decision is accept or reject. So that you have the final disposition at the control of the track chairs, right? And always ensure that the review comments, what the review comments are, matches your final disposition, right? It should not be like all the review comments are saying, hey, that's good, good, excellent, excellent, and then you do a reject. It will be an obvious mismatch, right? So these are some of the guidelines for the review comments rule. So not following all of these would typically question the paper disposition process, as well as the how rigorous and how legitimate the paper disposition process is. So please do ensure that all of these are taken into consideration while you are reviewing the papers as well as doing the paper selection process. So one key aspect, you need to ensure that your papers, the plagiarism score is less. It is not like coming to level 1, level 2. I mean, you can go to this IEEE cross-check, which is the recommended plagiarism check tool that has some online courses on, online presentation on how to use the tool or others. I will not have time to go through the mechanism of the tool. But then there are these kind of 4 or 5 levels, and when you're submitting for cross-check, if any of the papers are kind of coming as high plagiarism level, notification will go to IEEE as well as to the submitter or the track chat, right? Who are submitting it through. So typically what is done is before the review process is initiated, meaning before you start assigning the papers for review, you will have to submit the papers to plagiarism check so that reviewers don't waste their time on a paper that is highly plagiarized, and plus also ensuring that only those papers that have cleared the plagiarism are being subjected to the further review and selection process, right? So recommended practice is before assigning once all the paper submission deadline is over, take all the review papers and subject them to this cross-check tool, and do a desk reject, right? Desk reject or editorial reject is something where you can just say that, hey, your paper is having a very high similarity. and then you can reject the paper. So then you will ensure that, and typical reject papers, you can also remove them from the CMT tool of rejecting so that it doesn't confuse your further metrics and tracking in your paper tool. Paper selection, as I said earlier, it is on completely on the purview of the track chair or the DPG chair, as the case may be. So please do ensure that when you send the notifications, all papers have at least a minimum of 3 reviews done. If it's more than 3, that is fine, but at least 3 should be there. And also in your CFP, plus do make sure that you indicate that all the papers, accept papers that registered president will be sent for possible inclusion, right? Because you're not guaranteed that IEEE Explorer will accept your papers through. It also depends on how long, the credibility of the conference and all of those things through. So they might randomly pick up some papers and check for the quality of reviews and all of that through. So do not guarantee to your authors in your call for papers or anywhere else that all the present papers will be included in IEEE Explorer. No, IEEE Explorer has the team. That team has the final say in whether the paper will be included or not through. So do ensure that your call for papers or any of your communication material, mark material, clearly indicates that the papers accepted will be sent for possible inclusion IEEE Explore, and also will be contingent for the authors to accept all the IEEE copyright conditions and sign IEEE copyright form, because this is all this matters if you are going to have your proceedings included in the IEEE Explore. Yeah, I think that I've covered. Okay, last one is the technical program plan. So what you see here is a typical program plan. It may vary based on whether you have 1 day, 2 day, 3 day conference program through. Typically, you would have an inaugural session where you have the chief guest keynotes and all of that through, and then plenary sessions. And the paper presentations typically happen in parallel tracks, which are in different halls. Depending on the number of papers accepted, the number of halls can be varied to suit your conference duration through, where the track papers are presented, and then you would have a closing plenary or a validatory function through. So you will have different variants of this. What I put is a typical program plan. If most of you are familiar with that through. But then as part of programming plan, you need to, while you're actually preparing the plan, you need to ensure that adequate thought is given to the topics that are being presented, the plenary sessions, who are the invited speakers. Typical plenary sessions, widely recognized speakers are expected of international repute too. You can also have SMEs that go deep dive as invited talks in the parallel track sessions papers through. And typically session chairs are associated with each of these sessions, whether they are plenary or parallel, who would actually take care of introducing the speaker and then providing moderating any Q&A session, as well as providing the mementos at the end of the talk through, right? And then you may choose to have tutorials which can be conference or post-conference, or maybe even short sessions during the conference through. So it's critical to ensure that your conference theme aligns with at least most of the plenary sessions through, because they are handled across. You might have the papers go very deep into specific topics through. Yeah, so I think that's all I had to cover. The paper reviews, selection, and technical program plan. Open to any queries, questions?
Yeah, thank you, Ramakrishnan sir. Thanks particularly for putting the snapshots of CMT, because in the part 1, there were many participants who were asking about some knowledge about CMT. I think the snapshots that you kept will definitely help participants to understand the workflow, how to look into it.
Sure. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah. So I request again the participants, please feel free to put your questions to the chat box so that, if there are any questions that you would like us to address, we can take a look at it in the chat box and then come and start addressing it. The next session, we have Chandrakanta Kumar sir, who is going to basically talk about how to collect the copyrights, and most important part, that once the conference is done, the work is not yet done. So a major thing that sir is going to talk about is about how to prepare conference proceedings. This is a very, very important step. If not done correctly, the whole exercise of conducting the conference might go in vain, because if the proceedings get rejected by IEEE, that's not anything would like to do. So over to you, Chandrakanta sir. We can see your slides, by the way.
Thank you, Dr. Mahit. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, thank you once again. And it's always a pleasure talking after Dr. Ramakrishnan Raman, because both of us are working for our conferences in IEEE Bangalore section, not less than 3 years. And prior to that, Dr. Dr. Kiran and Satyanarayana had given a good overview of the things. So let me take the opportunity to continue from where they left. So before getting into the business area, so I'll just remind all the participants that there is a one conference that is coming up. That closing of the submission is very near. So please take a look at the Connect. That is the flagship conference of our Bangalore section. Now, getting into the responsibility, as Dr. Mohit mentioned, specifically 3 points that has been put into the agenda. Before that, I just want to add one introduction, small introduction, that is what is the responsibility of a publication chair, and then I'll dwell upon the 3 points that is listed. Typically, if you have to realize, if you have to do the job properly, so you have to understand what you are supposed to do, or what is the responsibility that you are supposed to handle. So as a publication chair, your job starts immediately after the TPC declares the acceptance of the paper. So these are the papers that will be presented in the conference. And publication is the one of the most tangible output of a conference. Like you must have heard that tangible outputs may be a financial gain or whatever surplus that you are generating, all these things. Non-tangible is interaction with the people, knowing each other, all these things. But this is the most tangible output of a conference. Everybody will be waiting for this one, and all the students, even professional members, also very much anxious about their paper appearing into the conference proceedings as well as in IEEE. And it is a very, very sensitive area with respect to the authors. As I told, many career of many students are attached to it, and many professionals also, their promotions, all these things, many things are attached to it. So it is a very sensitive matter. So you have to approach it with care. And what are the cares to be identified, care you should take? So it should be, you should be working in parallel with the TPC sometime, because format of final submission in India, whatever way you tell, or many places we have seen that whatever way you tell, only maybe 40 to 60% papers will be as per that format. And it is no, I don't have much of experience, of course, I should not tell this one. And 40% of the paper will be out of different formats. So you have to start writing to them that submit the final submission in the proper format. Otherwise, it will be a problem later. And plagiarism is a very important matter, as Dr. Ramki rightly pointed out. And before sending the paper for review, we are supposed to check the plagiarism, and whatever is not matching, we should weed it out. And before submission of the proceedings, also you should check once, because if your papers are, and there is a fine balance, I should say, because if you are checking this one after the conference, and by then people have registered, paid their finance, this one means travel and all these things, expenditure has been incurred, then if you reject their paper, it will not be a good idea. And if you are checking well in advance, that is also not a good idea, in the sense that in between, maybe if you have checked and after the 3 months has gone, and there are many publications that has been uploaded online, so those things has not been taken care. So that balance you have to take. But before you submit your this one, what it is called, proceeding, you should have a final plagiarism score, whatever you feel decide in the conference, to confirm that it is there. And another information that is very, very much important is confirmation of copyright by all authors of that particular paper has been signed, and confirm that the paper is presented as per the conference philosophy. These are the 4 points you should tick. If all are ticked, then only you should incorporate that particular paper into the proceedings or submitting into the to the IEEE. And as per conference philosophy, in the sense, nowadays post-COVID era, sometimes people are accepting online video submission, online presentation, physical presentation, whatever way, or poster presentations. So whatever you decide that our conference philosophy is this one, and that you got it approved from IEEE MCE. So as per that, you have to ensure that this presentation is done. And then your responsibility is releasing the conference proceedings. Before you submit it to IEEE, you have to prepare a proceedings for giving it to the participants to the conference. So you have to release a conference proceedings. There you can have your keynote address, everything, invited talks, and plenary talks, everything. Those things also may be part of that. And then next is timely submission of the proceedings to IEEE MC. This is very important in the sense, as I told, many of the students are waiting for their degree. Their MTech, PhD, Viva is waiting for this acceptance or publications. And you need to follow with MCP. Once you have submitted the proceedings, you have to follow it up. There will be many queries from their side, so you have to satisfy their queries, and follow it up till it is you get the mail that congratulations, your proceedings has been accepted and published. The one of the main thing that we should be careful about at the beginning. So as I told, your job start from after the TPC declares the list of accepted paper. But when you are starting as a team for the conference, that time first activity that goes in is the apply for the apply to the IEEE for the permissions or approval of the conference. So that time, if you and copyright is a big job, and nowadays you should avoid collecting manual copyright forms. Earlier we used to have physical copyright signed on the conference desk. Nowadays sign and scan and send. You should avoid all these things. Nowadays all the softwares that you are using for handling the paper, like CMT, Easy Chair or EDAS, everybody has a provision to collect copyright from online. But if you are planning to take this one online, so you have to inform IEEE beforehand when you are submitting your conference application form. There you have to indicate that you want to use e-copyright form. And so that time when you are submitting the conference applications, you should be little proactive about it. And it is a free service at to IEEE conferences provided by the IEEE MCE. And for the CMT tool, this is the link where you can go and set up your conference e-copyright form. And this typical screenshot looks like this. So you have to give your conference name and the 5-digit conference ID, whatever you get from after MCA approves your conference. So this part, this slide, I got it from Dr. Raman. So thank you, Dr. Raman, if you're here on the meeting. So all about submission of the proceedings, you can get into the main link that is given here. So this is the main link that just 1 minute. This is the main link where you will get these sub links that are needed. So first link is packaging list generator that you have to download. That is can be done from here. And there is a verification list. Once you generate the list, there is a link to verify it, and there is a submission link. All three are part of this main link, main page. and you need to use all these three links for completion of your job. So first of all, when you are preparing to generate your packaging list, so you should have all these things with you, all the files that is that you want to submit, that is the submitted paper, contributed paper. You may be having a cover page, you may be a TOC, list of reviewer, all these things in a local drive. It should not be a network drive, and all these things, it will be within a single folder. And name of the files you should put as you wish to be in the packing list. Like your cover page should not go into the last, your TOC should not go into in between somewhere. So your cover page, then maybe the TOC, then name of the reviewer can go at the last, index can go at the last. And then papers can be papers will be maybe depending on the subject matter. Say if you want to do a multi-track conferences that Ramki was telling, so as per track you want to put the papers, so you have to the name of the files will indicate how they will appear in your packing list. So first they take numeric, and then uppercase, then the small lowercase. That is the first, it's starting from the file name. So if you want to keep your cover page at the top, so you put 00 under then cover page, then it will always appear in the top. Then if you want to put your TOC, so 01 TOC, so it will appear at the second. So like this you have to name the files when such that they appears in the correct order. And file names can be alphanumeric, but no special character and no space. Here is one typical, this one is requirement that you cannot put a space. If you are putting a space, it will not detect those files. So that is very important to note. And you have to have ready with you that e-copyright from extracted from your paper handling portal like CMT or EDAS. So once they submit the e-copyright from, one number is generated. I'll show you how it looks like. And keep your letter of acquisition, means whatever approval letter you get from IEEE handy with you. So once you have all these things with you, you can start preparing the packing list. So if you go to the main link that I told you in that 4-5 links that I gave, there is one second link was for downloading the packaging list generator. So if you click on that link, so you will get these 3 files. So this is the actual executable for the file that needs Java support, and this is the PDF file that needs that gives you all the process that you may be going through, and this is the what that means content page sort of thing. These are the 3 files that will get downloaded. And if you click on the second file, that is this packing list, you will be welcome with this sort of a window. And this is the IEEE packing list generator, and by default it will have a type of packing list you are generating for, whether it is for conference, but there are some options that whether if you are generating from magazine or transaction, so you can from the drop down menu you can select, and after clicking on that you can selecting the proper one, that is conference for the present scenario. Then if you click on next, then it will take to a packing list generator window that is like this. There you have to put the details of your conference. Like here I am showing the example of Connect 2022 that happened in Bangalore. These are whatever star fields, you have to put the values in those fields. So it happened in Bangalore, India, and you have to select the date of the conference, start, end. And promotional date, these are optional, means when it start promoted, getting promoted into the social media or something. And conference stage, whether it is early access or final stage or something, so you have to select accordingly. And these are the things that you have to get it from conference records. So that is the conference number, and this ISBN number I'll just show you after some time that it can be picked up from the this your letter of acquisition that you get, and it is electronic media submission, and then you have to fill the detail of the person who is submitting. So in this case, it's me. And once you fill all these things and click on next, so it will ask you where the folders are located. So you have to browse and indicate where all these files that I told are kept into the local drive. That files means that whatever you want to submit to the IEEE, not that other means letter of acquisition, not those things. Whatever content you want to submit to IEEE MCE, and it has to be in a local drive, not in a network drive. So then you select the proper folder for that. And now if you go to the letter of acquisition, that looks like this. This is the PDF file. I have copied the first part of it. So this is your conference ID. So this you have to copy there. And somewhere maybe second or third page, you will have a table like this. So there your ISBN numbers will be given. So current case, it is Explore compliant. So it will be given this number. You have to copy and paste into that particular field that I have already done. So now once you are next, means once you have selected this particular folder, and if you have click on the next, then it will take you to a window like this, where it will load all the files that is there in that particular folder as per the sequence that you wanted to. Like you can see here, 00, it is covered page, 01 is some organizing committee, 02 is the TOC. Then all papers as they appear into the conference, so paper 038, 063, like this as a submission sequence, it has appeared. And at the end, I had index and all these things that is not shown here. So here 4 fields you have to be careful about. Here the 4 arrows are put here. So I'll go show you one by one. So one place you have to select what are the PDF files you want to submit. In this case, of course, all. And if you have some additional files also into that for your reference, you kept it, you don't want to submit them, you have to uncheck them. And here, whatever files you are having, so you have to mention, it's a drop down menu. If you click on this, it will show what are the type of file it is. By default, it is original research. And then you have to give an input of the e-copyright numbers that you have to give here, and whether copyright transfer has been done or not. Means if it is not done, you are not supposed to submit the file. And if it is to be done after some time, so you please wait, complete that process, then only you submit your proceedings. So once you these are the 4 fields that I wanted to show you in the previous slide. Now, if you extract your copyright information from this one, your paper submission tool, this looks like this is from CMT. This is the serial number of the paper. These are the authors. This is the name of the paper. And this is the number for the IEEE copyright, e-copyright. That will be populated automatically by the paper handling tool. So it has been downloaded into Excel, and I have copied. Sorry, it has slightly shifted. It was in the left. This was supposed to be in this window. It has slightly shifted. So you can copy and paste it here. Because first 2 things, it did not need copyright because these are general content and it will not be part of, and wherever you are not giving copyright information, those content will not be part of your online publications. So that is how you fill all the places where the paper or the content is supposed to go online. So that is how you fill the first column. And for the second column, here you can click and then you can select all or deselect all these options you can have. And if you want to exclude few, then you can select all option, you can choose, and again selectively uncheck all these blocks that you don't want. And here, if you want change the type of file that you are having, like here it is front cover, I have written here list of contributor, and if you click on that, it is a drop down menu. You can select depending on the type of content it is. And by default, if it is a contributory paper, it is to be original research paper. These are the fields that is not accessible for us. And as I told here, again, you have to set whether copyright process is completed. So here, if you can click the set all button, it will set all of them as yes, no, or not applicable. As per your convenience, you set all of them yes, and few of them, whatever you don't need, like front cover and all these things, then you can again change by clicking on the particular cell and change back to the no. So this is the typical window that you will be dealing with when you are uploading the files into the package list generator. And once it is done, so it will ask you have to it will ask whether to save the packing list. So once you save, it will come with a message that if you confirm that all the copyright forms are proper. And what I told, that if you are yet to receive a particular copyright form, so please wait for that, then only submit the proceedings. Because it cannot be changed afterwards, and if it is copyright conflicts are there, so it will be problematic for you as well as for the authors. So if those things are clear, so you can click OK and save, and then it will generate a notepad file. You can name the file as you want. Here yesterday I generated this one, so I put a name at test. So if you are generating for your conference, so you can give your conference name. This is the final copyright form. So here you can see the description of all the files that is given here. It is a text file, so all the details will be there for all the files. This is the final packing list. And this file, that is the packing list, whatever I generated, the test, and all the papers or the content that you want to submit, that has to be put in a folder, and it should not be contained in another subfolder. It will be directly, all the files, PDF files, should be within under this folder itself. It should not be under another subfolder, that contributory paper or cover page, all these things, no subfolder. All of them should be in under this folder, and as per the name that you have given, sequence that you want to be. So these two files, you have to zip it like this. You have to zip it, and you are ready to test it. So if you want to test it, you can download the other tester, and you can get it through once. And if there is some error, or you can know before submitting itself, and you can correct it. And once that is through, you go to the third link. So you go to that, if you click on the third link, you'll be taken to a interactive window like this. So here again, you have to put the conference record number, full name of the publications, that is your conference proceedings, who is submitting their detail, and here you can drop the file. And after security checks, you can you'll be able to submit the proceedings, and you'll be getting a confirmation through your mail that you are providing here. And next job is answer the queries and follow up till it is published in Explore. There, if you are first time doing, maybe 1 or 2 times you have to do the process and some corrections, or next time onwards it is very easy process. It should be done in one go. And nowadays even 2 to 3 weeks also are sufficient for publication, for smaller number of papers to come online. So within that time you can relax, and once it is done, so your job is also done. So with that, I am also done. So thank you very much for your attention. Over to you.
Right. Thank you, Chandrakanta sir. It was a fantastic presentation. I think, quite a few times we don't realize how much of an effort is actually needed once the conference is done, but a lot of work is to be done after the conference is done. There's a question for you in the chat box, if you would like to see, Chandrakanta sir, who will generate the ECF link, that is the e-copyright form link, basically.
E-copyright form link, it will be generated by means when you are submitting your conference application form, that time you have to incorporate. You have to show them that we want to use e-copyright form, And then when you are configuring your what it is called paper acceptance or means paper handling tool, so there you have, I have shown one slide. So there you have to give the conference number and your copyright, that conference name, and then it will automatically link to that.
That's right. So you can use Microsoft CMT to basically collect your e-copyright forms. Or even I think EasyChair can be used, right? Chandrakanta sir?
Yeah. It is possible for nowadays. All the softwares they are giving this this service free. Actually, it is from IEEE, and it is just taking the software fellows. They are taking the support of that one. That's all.
That's true.
It was there in the 6th slide that CMT link was there.
Yeah, sure. We will be sharing these slides. So we will collect these slides from you, and then we will be sharing with the participants with everybody's permission. All right. So any more questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We are well in time. We wanted to wrap up by 5. We have about 5-6 minutes. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer. Meanwhile, some people put questions in the chat box. I request all of you who can to turn on your video so that we can take one photograph for all of the people here. Those who all can switch on the camera, please switch on the camera so that we can have a nice little photograph for records purpose, and we'll share it with you as well. I can see some of you have turned on, maybe a few more if possible. Yeah, please keep going. You can see 5 of them have turned on, a few more, at least about 15-20. Yeah, we can see it's going good. Maybe 3-4 more at least. And others, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box till I take the photograph. Okay, I'm taking one more. All right. Thank you, everyone, for turning on your cameras. We have one question here. Let us see whether we have Dr. Kiran here. If not, maybe Chandrakanta sir or Ramakrishnan sir can ask, because I think this question is mainly related to technical co-sponsorship. So we have a question that when we have to pay the money, basically.
Hello.
Yeah, Kiran sir is here. Kiran sir,
Oh,
you can
sorry.
take
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, the fees have to be paid once we give approval. So after the scrutiny, we will approve the application. So along with that application, we will mention to pay these fees. So at that time, they'll have to pay.
Perfect.
We will tell that your conference is approved, and we will give these details once again. This amount needs to be paid, and at that time they can pay, and they can attach the receipt so that it will be easier for us to process. We will get to know that they have paid, and we will verify, and we can process it faster.
Sure. Yeah, and I think they can pay using an account transfer, right? They can pay online, right?
Yeah.
And the account details and all will be shared with them once the conference is over.
Yes. That will be shared.
Yeah, perfect. So I think that answers the second question also, which was from the same participant, that will it be an account transfer? So I think we have answered that question also. Some people are asking for feedback form. I'll share it across the feedback form later offline, and you will get an email with the feedback form. So please provide the feedback using that link. Anybody has any other questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. So I take this opportunity. Okay, wait a minute. I think we have a question. Somebody's typing in. I can see. Yes, there is a question here. And in finding reviewers and keynote speakers, can we get help from Bangalore section? Yes, we certainly provide help from Bangalore section in finding reviewers and keynote speakers. I think that's what even Dr. Kiran said in his presentation. But Dr. Kiran, you would like to highlight this point once again, maybe?
Sir, generally the keynote speakers and reviewers, they will only identify.
Yeah, but we
because it
provide recommendations, right? For example, like if they ask us, then we tell them that these are the suitable speakers whom, I mean, they reach out. We don't reach out from Bangalore section, but
Yeah,
we
they-
tell them that these are the potential speakers and you can reach out to them. So we provide them with some sample names and they go and reach out to them, right?
maybe that can be done, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And yes, reviewers, again, there can be some recommendations given, but it's the main organizing committee of the conference who has to take the lead in terms of forming the, the conference committee or the reviewer committee, TPC and everything.
Yeah, they only have to do it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Perfect. All right. I'm just waiting for, yeah. Thank you for the informative session. All right. Thank you. Thank you for attending, all of you, and you will get soon some emails from us with the feedback form plus a few more details. So please fill out that feedback form. Yeah, and Chandrakant sir, somebody is trying to reach out to you in the chat box. They are asking for your support, but I think that's an offline support that they are requesting. Just wanted to highlight your attention to that. So once again, I thank you all for attending these parts, and we'll share the recordings also of both the parts with you. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.